Recently, the Alliance of Independent Authors ran a Twitter chat focused on content marketing, and that's when it hit me. Not many authors truly know what content marketing is and how it functions in their author business. That's why I thought today we would kind of do a good overview of what content marketing is and why you should be using this going into 2022. So make sure you stay tuned to today's podcast. Well, what's happening, folks? I'm just tickled to death. Took a little bit of time out your day to spend a little bit of time with me to talk about my favorite thing in self-publishing. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by the fine folks over at Uscreen. Level up your content marketing game, sell more books, expand your brand through the power of the #1 video on-demand platform for video monetization, Uscreen. By the way, it's spelled with just a U, not Y-O-U. Combined, Uscreen customers are already making over $100 million per year. The best news for you is because you are one of my valued followers and listeners, you get a 14-day free trial of Uscreen when you visit dalelinks.com/Uscreen. I'll be talking a little bit more about Uscreen on the main channel here pretty soon, and you guys will get to see all the behind the scenes of me putting all this stuff together and something we're calling self-publishing with Dale Hub. Yes, Dale Hub. The Pub Hub. I should call it Pub Hub. I don't know if that's trademarked though. Well, that's another deal for another day. dalelinks.com/Uscreen. Make sure you go ahead, get yourself a 14-day free trial. So what is content marketing? Well, I know this is probably not the most reliable resource in the world, but I'm going to go ahead and quote them anyways because it's pretty accurate. Wikipedia says content marketing is a form of marketing focused on creating, publishing, and distributing content for a targeted audience online. So what does this mean? It's a lot of stuff that you're like, what? This is more stuff for me to do. Well, technically, if you're a published author, you're already a content marketer. Let me go ahead and just explain why. Because anytime that you're putting out an ebook, anytime that you're putting out print book, anytime you're putting out an audiobook, that's a piece of content that markets you, your brand, your author business. So having content marketing is already kind of baked into what you're already doing. So what we have to do is maybe dive a little bit deeper into content marketing because we're already doing that content marketing. But how do we get even more content marketing stacked on top of content marketing? I'm going to say it like 20 times. This is going to be a drinking game. People are going to be drunk by the time this podcast is done. But we're going to want to make sure that we leverage all these different avenues in some capacity. Is content marketing effective in selling books? Now, here's my big warning. Results will vary, as does all of marketing and promotion. You might hear someone who says, BookBub deals are fantastic. They work really great for marketing my book. And other people will say, I lost my money on that. It doesn't work. So you're just going to need to tweak and test and try to do some things. And I will tell you some specific strategies and best practices to make sure that you're doing the right thing when it comes to content marketing. Take another shot if you're doing a drinking game. Content marketing focuses on the long game. So this is not something that you're going to put like one and done and you're set and it's going to bring in lots of traffic. No, this is something that's going to be long-term based. You're going to see more success over the long run and not so much in the short term. So something as simple as landing a media appearance may not sell much books, but if you stack that with numerous media appearances, eventually what's going to do is it's going to bring in more eyes to your brand that can eventually lead to more sales. So success really truly is a measure on how much high quality content you can deliver, ready for this one, consistently. It's not enough that you one and done this. You have to keep delivering high quality content. So what does content marketing look like? What forms does it take? Now I'm going to start it with the easiest to implement, and I'm going to work my way down to the hardest to implement. And let's just start it out with social media posts. That's easy. Most anybody can do this. Now, I'm not telling you to go on social media and you're going to be, buy my book, buy my book. That is not content marketing. That's not value. There's no real exchange being given here. You need to give something to the people on social media that says, hey, I'm pretty important and I'm pretty big deal without saying it. You don't want to be doing things like that because a flex is going to be something that's going to turn people off. You might as well just go ahead and shamelessly plug your latest book. Social media posts is where you'll be able to deliver value. Now, if you're a nonfiction author, who's your audience? What's their pain points? How can you solve those? Knowing that will help you kind of get more social media posts out. Now, if for some reason you're stuck and you're kind of going, I don't know what to say, find out what other people are saying within your niche. See what is working for other people. Success leaves a trail of breadcrumbs. All you got to do is follow it. Now, I'm not telling you to steal anybody's post. Heck, sometimes you can put a link to somebody else's social media post, and that's enough value. Like, hey, take a look what this is. I've done this so many times that some people are like, think that I'm the one who actually came up with the information. No, I'm just simply a DJ of self-publishing, mixing all the greatest hits so that way you can enjoy it. But at the end of the day, you don't really have to reinvent the wheel as long as you're providing great value. Now, the next thing when it comes to value, email marketing. Oh my gosh. If you do not have an email list, start today. Free services like MailChimp and MailerLite, my preferred platform, are available to you. Get started. Start bringing your readers into your neighborhood. Bring them over into your little universe, because then you can directly communicate with them. But make no mistake about it. Again, this should not be an email that comes right out the gate, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. It should probably be something of value. So you fiction authors, let me give a good solid example. What are some other books that you read as a fiction author? How does it pertain to the books that you write? How do you feel personally about that? Share that with people, because sometimes people like to know that there are other people on the other end of things. Okay? It's not just some automation, some robot that's sending out something. When you can put a little bit of heart and soul into your email marketing, people are going to absolutely love you. And they're going to say, when you go to promote your next book, I'm going to go ahead and get this book because they've given me so much value. I read some of my favorite authors today without knowing it because this person sent this to me via email. Now, next one up is blogging. A lot of people say blogging's dead. Shut up. That's literally what I'm just going to say. Shut up. If you think it's dead, great. Leave the rest to me. I'll go ahead and take that, because blogging is one of the greatest ways to build out search engine optimization for your website. And it's also another way to deliver additional value. Maybe something that you couldn't mention in a social media post that you can be able to go long form for blogging. Great way to do it. Now, these next two things I'm going to suggest to you, it's going to be a little harder. Podcasting. Podcasting, you're listening to it or you're even watching it on YouTube. Podcasting is one of the greatest ways to deliver value. I will tell you that I don't think I would have had the same success I have had over the past 6 years if it wasn't for doing podcasting and YouTube. Those specific avenues gave me the avenue that I could express all the things I've learned and all the things I continue to learn. And I was able to build a credibility and authority. So when I did a book launch, it was a pretty big deal. A lot of people were like, you know what? I've really supported you. I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a copy of your book. Or even something as simple as getting more advanced reader copy members. So people are able to join that team and I can get more reviews upon launch. So many really cool things about content marketing you didn't really think about. You think, oh, I'm just going to sell some books. Sometimes it's not about selling the books, but sometimes it's about leveraging the audience and that attention to where you can actually put it towards other things that will start to shift more books, like third-party credibility through reviews. Naturally, we already said podcasting, so let's just switch on over to video. Video, oh my gosh, between YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, you name it, there's a platform for you. Facebook. I know one author that's absolutely annihilating on Facebook. I'm horrible at doing video on Facebook. For whatever reason, it just doesn't work for me. But it works for them. Does really, really well. Now, of course, here's a little bit of a bonus here, because this is a shameless plug, dalelinks.com/YouTube podcast. I record these podcasts, the audio versions, 1 week in advance from each of the audios being distributed out to all the different platforms like Apple, iHeartRadio, Audible, and Amazon, those type of things. But I kill two birds with one stone, because I record the podcast on my YouTube channel. That video then gets trimmed down and it's being served out to other people. So then we're hitting not just one market, we're hitting two markets. We hit YouTube, and then we hit all these other additional avenues through audio podcasting. It's amazing. Now, next one, you're probably saying, okay, this isn't me. This is for everyone. But you may not be at that position in your author journey. And I understand it. It's courses. Doing courses can be a huge game changer. I know for me, it has been amazing over the past 6 years of starting this whole YouTube journey. The last 4 years, I actually had the DIY publishing course that has brought in a fair amount of income and also really helped me build out my brand. And the funny thing is, sell more books. Now, you're probably saying, okay, nonfiction authors, this is super simple. Setting up a course that makes sense for your audience. Heck, you can take your actual book and turn that into a course. Super simple. By the way, shameless plug here on Uscreen. Uscreen could be able to host your courses. But let's say you don't want to do that. You always got other viable avenues like Gumroad. My wife used Gumroad, had great success over towards that direction. Now, if you're a fiction author, you're probably saying, what do I do? How do I do this? You have the creative mind and you have the tools at your disposal. Now, all you have to do is figure out, well, how can you do courses? Some people come to me and say, how do I do a course if I'm a fiction author? You tell me, because I'll tell you right now that sure, this doesn't lean towards your audience, but let's just say you taught me how to write fiction, because chances are very likely I'd probably end up buying your course and taking a look at it, especially if it was about horror or post-apocalyptic fiction. I would probably be all about it. But you can think about how is it that you create your fiction? Or from a standpoint of showing behind the scenes. How did you put together your fiction work? Because sometimes some readers want to know, well, what was your inspiration behind this particular character? How did you develop this out? What did this look like when you went through editing? And then what did it look like after you were done editing? So there's so much you can offer through courses. Now, these are just really broad strokes of some areas that you can do content marketing. You're not limited to any one avenue, nor do I expect for you to do every single one of those things. At least hit some of the main things like email marketing and social media. Then start to build those things out. Now, how do authors execute? You're probably saying, what do I do to get this going? You got to do it with purpose. Don't simply post content to post content. You can't just sit there and go, well, Dale told me to go over and give value on social media, and he told me not to promote my book. He said, no, don't promote my book. No. Sure, you can promote your book, but you got to be very selective about when you do it. You need to build that trust. You need to earn their trust through delivering value consistently. So that way, when you go to ask to buy your book, it makes so much more sense to them. Or even you get bonus points if you're able to still deliver value and promote your book. But always have a purpose. Maybe it's not to sell your books. Maybe it is to just build more credibility, get more of a presence online. But every post, whatever you do for your content, needs to have a reason and an end goal. What do you want to get out of it? Do you want to sell more books? Do you want to land more media appearances? Do you want to be recognized as an authority in your niche? Do you want to make more money? So there's so many things. You have to identify your why before we go into the how to do it, getting it out on those different avenues. Why are you doing it? Because to me, I do it because I want to make more money. I want to pay the bills. Those things don't pay themselves, for crying out loud. So that's a huge reason why I do content marketing. Some of you might want to sell more books. Great. That's fantastic. Look at someone like, say, a Jenna Maresi. Jenna Maresi's got, 300,000 subscribers on YouTube? She's built an amazing fiction brand. And she has, delivered in spades when it comes to high quality content. Love her stuff. You ever want a blueprint, go look at her. She's just fantastic at what she does. The one thing I want to say, though, is start with one thing. Master that one thing. Deliver consistently. That's going to be the thing. One thing, master it, deliver it consistently. So if it's email marketing, boom, get into it. Go knee deep in it. I want you to become the best in email marketing in your niche. Become the go-to person. Become the GOAT, if you will, the greatest of all time and your niche. That's what I always try to shoot at for doing, is become the best at what I do. Bruce Lee once said this about being consistent. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. It's to say that it's not impressive that you just do something multiple times within a course of a day and to be done, but that you do one, once a day, maybe it's twice per day, over the next 2 years, and fantastic. Now, once you get this going, the important thing is you're going to have to track and measure results. And you're probably saying, with what? Well, you got trackable links. So you can get something like a link shortener or pretty links over on your WordPress site. But when you have something linking out from a post article or through a blog or through email marketing, you have that to where it's trackable, so you know where there's interest. Because if nobody's clicking on the links that you're sending them to, then chances are very likely what you're doing is not working, or how you're communicating isn't really connecting with that audience. The other thing is going to be engagement. Now, engagement's going to be probably more leaning towards social media and possibly email, but engagement could probably be something like a tweet. You share that tweet out. It gets retweeted, gets commented on, gets hearts, it gets some stuff going. That's when you know that you're onto something. Now, if for some reason your end goal is to sell more books, obviously you're going to want to make sure you track that. Look at how many book sales you're having now versus 30 days from now, 60 days, 90 days, or even a year out, whatever that might be. What does that look like before and after? Because if you see that your social media marketing efforts are starting to pay off by way of more book sales, then you're probably onto something and you're doing absolutely perfect. As we start to wrap up today's podcast, I will give you my final thoughts here shortly. Just want to tell you that this broadcast has been brought to you in part by the folks over at Uscreen. Get a 14-day free trial of Uscreen when you visit dalelinks.com/Uscreen. Again, that's USCREEN. All righty, final thoughts here. Content marketing. Will it move the needle? Yes. Well, sort of. Because results will vary. You're going to have to find out for yourself. You can't simply just expect to just do it once and be done, or do it inconsistently and say, oh, Dale, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's because you didn't make it work. April 2016, I launched Self-Publishing with Dale on YouTube, my main YouTube channel. The original intent that I had was to answer more questions so it could free up my time and I could do more writing and self-publishing. Little did I know that it would just become this three-headed beast. It become the brand that it is, that ended up casting a shadow over what I was pretty popular for at the time, which was fitness books. And that has since kind of fallen to the wayside. But the cool thing is, when I became purpose-driven with my intent, okay, I was going to serve the indie author community. That led me to 5 award-winning books, distributing thousands of copies worldwide of my books. All of this was based on content marketing. Heck, you're listening to a prime example of how this all works for me. I record the podcast live. I share via the video and the audio. I deliver insane value, if I don't mind saying so myself. And then I sell more books, build more authority in my niche, and I'm able to make a little bit more of an income here. Keep my head above the water and pay for those pesky things in the mail called bills. As we start to wrap up today's podcast, I want to let you know that next episode is going to be no luck selling books on Amazon KDP? Then do this. A lot of people are always wondering, I don't understand. I've published X, Y, and Z on Amazon. It's not working for me. Well, I'm going to be talking to you this very next week about that. To get advanced access to all podcasts, visit dalelinks.com/YouTube podcast 1 week before the audio podcast content publishes. It's every Monday at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You want to make sure that you join me. In the meantime, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I will chat with you next week. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, This has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.